Tonight, 18 residents of Damasak town killed and 21 others injured in an attack on the town by Boko Haram insurgents, Governor Babagana Zulum reveals as he visits the community. Parents of 29 students of the College of Forestry, Kaduna, still in captivity, renew appeal to government for the rescue of the abductees. INEC rules out introduction of electronic voting in the 2023 general elections as it pushes to increase voter access to polling units. And U.S. President intensifies pressure on Congress to address gun violence as 8 persons are shot dead in the city of Indianapolis. Plus, business sports news from Abuja and later international news from our London studio.
On business news tonight, federal government flags off commercial freight and haulage services on the Itakpe-Ajaokuta-Warri railway line 7 months after inauguration.
And on sports news, Andrei Rublev completes stunning upset over 11-time champion Rafa Nadal to reach the semi-finals of the Monte Carlo Masters.
Again, and from Abuja, again, Governor Obaseki warns against nation's overdependence on crude oil, says time is running out on diversification of the economy.
Days after the military onslaught against Boko Haram insurgents in Damasak town in Borno state, the state governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, has said 18 residents of the town were killed in the gun battle and 21 others injured. According to the governor, some of the residents who witnessed the attack and saw several properties destroyed told him about the casualty when he spent the night and had interactions with soldiers and other security forces involved in the counterinsurgency operations in the town. The governor also sympathized with the residents and assessed the level of destruction caused by the insurgents, noting that Tuesday's attack on Damasak was the 6th in 2 weeks. The UN humanitarian hub, private residential houses, a police station, the palace of the district head, a primary healthcare center and a GSM village were among properties destroyed. Governor Zulum assured the residents of robust measures to avert future insurgent attacks on Damasak, saying he has directed the strengthening of agricultural activities in the town. And from Borno to Kaduna State, where the aggrieved parents of the remaining 29 abducted students of Federal College of Forestry Mechanization, Afaka, in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State, have again appealed to President Muhammadu Buhari and the state government to facilitate the rescue of their children from the hands of their abductors. The parents say the lives of the children are in great danger if nothing is done urgently to secure their freedom. They also noted that the bandits have threatened to kill the students if government fails to pay ransom for their release.
We're also appealing to RFI to look at the way Masari did his own and bring those children out to also come to our rescue. We're appealing to them. We're appealing to federal government. The Minister of Environment, this school is under his territory. We're calling him to do something. He's up to now, we have not heard a word from him. The DG of the forestry, we are begging him to also come to our rescue because we have not heard anything from him. The last we heard, he just came and just entered the school and walk out without not talking to anybody. So we're appealing to them to look at this matter critically and help us out, because some of us are not sleeping, because these children, we brought them to school to study, to become better children in the society. Today, you send your children to school and what you get is this thing. So we're appealing to federal government and the state government, the Senate, the Senate President, the Minister, the House of Reps. We're calling on everybody, the Kaduna State House of Assembly, we're calling on them to come to our aid, because at this junction, we are getting tired of this issue.
Meanwhile, the Kaduna state government says it will continue to work hard until banditry is contained without succumbing to emotional blackmail and gradual politicization of the unfortunate situation. It also warns imposters presenting themselves as government-appointed emissaries to negotiate with bandits to desist. And from Kaduna to Plateau State, where gunmen have again killed 6 persons at Wereng community in Riom local government area of the state and injured 3 others. Channels Television gathered that the gunmen stormed a social center in the community, shooting sporadically at everyone in sight. The state police authorities say the police commissioner has directed the area commander to relocate to the community with more personnel deployed to restore normalcy in the area and forestall any reprisal, while investigations into the matter continues. The attack is coming less than a week after 8 miners were killed in Kuru, George South local government area of the state. Moving down south, the Abia state government has raised an alarm over plans by hoodlums to attack key locations in the state and cause unrest. The State Commissioner for Information, John Kalu, says some of the hoodlums are expected to come from outside the state and is urging parents to ensure and advise their children not to get involved in the activities of hoodlums. He is therefore calling for extra vigilance and strict adherence to the 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. Mr. Kalu adds that the state government remains confident that the security architecture within the state is robust enough to prevent the planned attack and bring perpetrators to justice. The identities of more inmates who escaped from the Owerri Custodial Center in the Imo State capital have been revealed by the Nigerian Correctional Service, NCOS. The NCOS had put the figure of inmates who fled from the facility at 1,844, and scores of pictures of male and female inmates who have been declared wanted are published in the Twitter handle of the Correctional Service. The latest post follows earlier publications of names and pictures of some of the fleeing inmates. They escaped from the custodial center April the 5th as a result of an attack on the facility by gunmen who also attacked the police command headquarters in the state, burning many operational vehicles. 6 of the fleeing inmates were said to have voluntarily returned to the facility, while 35 others refused to escape from custody during the incident. Now, for those who still have concerns over the possible side effect of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, the federal government is again saying there is no cause for alarm as the vaccine remains safe. The executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shraib, explains that over 1 million Nigerians have been vaccinated so far with minimal side effects. Our correspondent Kayla Megwa reports.
Since the vaccine rollout in Nigeria a month ago, over 1 million Nigerians have been vaccinated, and the country has recorded no cases of blood clots. There are, however, over 8,000 cases of adverse effects following the immunization. A fact the executive director of Nigeria's primary healthcare agency insists should not scare Nigerians from taking the vaccine.
I categorized them into those that were mild. There are about 8,439 of these across the country. And then there are those that are moderate to severe, that are about 52. All of them are adverse events following immunization. We should also recognize that there are different background rates when it comes to the incidence of blood clotting. So typically, what the literature shows is that Africans are less likely to experience blood clotting disorders, right, compared to Caucasians.
To get the vaccination.
The country director of the World Health Organization commends Nigeria for their early vaccine rollout, noting that the benefits of the AstraZeneca vaccine far outweigh the risks. He also addresses vaccine hoarding by some countries.
The WHO is currently engaged with the G7 and G20 to try and increase pressure on those countries who are holding the vaccine so that they could redistribute the doses and make them available through the COVAX mechanism or through bilateral agreement to countries that need them the most. WHO is also engaging the manufacturers for technology transfer so that we could have more sites that could manufacture vaccine in order to scale up production. 5
states have the highest records of the adverse effects following immunization in Nigeria. Kaduna has the highest with 970 cases, followed by Cross River State with 859 cases. Yobe is next with 541 cases. Kebbi has 511 cases, while Lagos has 448 cases. For those who've taken the first jab of the AstraZeneca vaccine, the eligibility period for the second dose of the vaccine has been reviewed from 12 weeks to between 8 to 12 weeks. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission. Well, before that story, let's take you to a report from the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, which has debunked recent reports of food poisoning from the consumption of a fruit juice in Kano State. The Commission says the last time it recorded such incident was March 12th, where some persons were hospitalized after consuming fruit juice which had chemical components known as hydroxyme sulfate. The Kano State Coordinator of NAFDAC, Mr. Shaba Mohammed, says 455 people were affected, with 4 deaths recorded.
I heard of a rumor going around. Even my DG called me of a video that was circulating where 10 individuals and about 400 people, 10 individuals who are said to have died, and 400 people hospitalized. I think that is actually an outright rumor. That was actually what happened initially before we got the actual data, but now there was not any incidents like that. And I've gone around, I've talked to all the individuals, officials who are involved, and there is not anything like that, not even the news media. So please, there is no fake juice in Kano in circulation at the moment. We are on top of the game, and we are combing all the nooks and crannies of the state, to ensure that the right things are done and the right products are in circulation.
And now to INEC. The Independent National Electoral Commission is intensifying preparations for the 2023 general election, and it is ruling out the possibility of electronic voting during the polls. Rather, the Commission says it is training operations officers who will help assign polling units ahead of the elections. INEC has in the last 2 months been consulting with stakeholders about its intention to convert existing voting points and settlements to full-fledged polling units.
Heads of operations from the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory offices of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) are attending this training on how to increase voters' access to polling units in the next general elections. The training aims at equipping INEC operations officers with knowledge on how to identify suitable locations for new polling units.
The idea behind what the Commission is doing is actually to convert voting points and voting point settlements into full-fledged polling units. That is the methodology for expansion of voter access to polling units that the Commission has agreed on with stakeholders. So your task at the theoretical level will be to identify on these maps areas that are not fully served. But beyond that, you will then do your necessary field work, which is to take this theoretical construct and try to identify specific locations where these polling units are going to be placed.
INEC has in the last 2 months been consulting stakeholders on the need to convert existing voting units and voting settlements to full-fledged polling units to increase voters' access. But the Commission is ruling out any possibility of introducing electronic voting in the 2023 general elections.
We are moving fast, and we want to introduce electronic voting machines, especially in our elections. We are confident that by the time we get to Ekiti and Osun governorship elections, we will have finished all the mechanics and procurement issues around procuring electronic voting machines, and then amend the law to conform to what we are doing. So the issue of people voting from the comfort of their rooms or voting from any location is a project that the Commission is working on. And at the appropriate time, the Commission will unveil what it is doing. But for the 2023 elections, we are sure that people are going to vote in places where they register.
Nigeria currently has 119,973 polling units with an additional 57,023 voting points for its 84 million voters. The Commission plans to convert the voting points to full-fledged polling units before the next general elections.
In part two, after the break, judicial workers set to step up their agitation for financial autonomy with nationwide protests next. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 18 residents of Damasak town killed and 21 others injured in an attack on the town by Boko Haram insurgents, Governor Babagana Zulum reveals as he visits the community. Parents of 29 students of the College of Forestry, Kaduna, still in captivity, renew appeal to government for the rescue of the abductees. INEC rules out introduction of electronic voting in the 2023 general elections as it pushes to increase voter access to polling units. And U.S. President intensifies pressure on Congress to address gun violence as 8 persons are shot dead in the city of Indianapolis. There is no end in sight to the ongoing industrial action by members of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSN, as all efforts to pacify and ask the striking workers to call off their action has failed. The workers are insisting on embarking on a nationwide protest on Monday, since, according to them, no progress has been made yet in the reconciliatory talks with the government. The union has been on strike for the past 1 week over the demands for financial autonomy, among other issues.
We have given notice, 21 days notice, which is enough, for the constituted authority to consider perhaps implementing our demands, but they did not do it. I mean, we cannot resort to violence, of course. We are going to do the needful. We are in touch with all our members throughout the Federation. The ball is in the courts of the government to obey the judgment of courts that grant the financial autonomy and freedom for the judiciary, both at the federal and the state level. The Minister of Labour and Productivity, with due respect, has called us and gave us hope that there will be a meeting yesterday, and it was cancelled. It's sending wrong signal. That action is sending wrong signal to us and the public as well, that maybe the negotiation and discussion has broken down. There's no reason for us to go on protest if the government has called us for roundtable discussion and it's fruitful. So that's just it. So whatever happens now may be replicated in all the parts of the country. You know, that's just it. On Monday, we need to go on that peaceful protest.
A petitioner at the Lagos State Judicial Panel on restitutions for victims of SARS-related abuses and other matters, Adekunle Ayodele, today narrated how he was allegedly shot in the leg by a police officer on September 9, 2005. According to the petitioner, he was on his way to work with his brother from Ikotun around 5 a.m. when they were stopped at a police checkpoint at Iyano Ejigbo.
By getting to Iyano before NNPC bus stop, I met checkpoint, police checkpoint, and I was stopped, asked for my vehicle particular and my driving license, in which I complied, brought it out and gave it to the officer to check. But later, I saw anger on his face that, Mr. Man, can't you calm down? Can I ask you to calm down inside the vehicle before you get down? I opened the door that I wanted to come down to meet him. The next, I just hear gunshot, bah, bah, on my left leg. I fainted. Even I don't know what is happening again.
Two more stories. The Ondo State Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Akure has fixed Wednesday, April 21, to deliver judgment on the petition seeking to overturn the victory of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu in the election. The three-man panel of judges, led by Justice Umar Abubakar, announced this through a notice to all parties in the case. The governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Eyitayo Jegede, had in his petition challenged the outcome of the last governorship election in the state. He faulted Governor Akeredolu's participation in the poll while alleging that he and his deputy, Lucky Datiwa of the All Progressives Congress, were not validly nominated. Meanwhile, the defense counsels had pleaded with the courts to dismiss Mr. Jegede's petition on several grounds. Over in Rivers State, police authorities have deployed 17,500 officers to provide security before, during and after the local government elections in the state holding tomorrow. According to the State Police Command, the deployment of the personnel will be supported by officers from other sister security agencies. The State Commissioner of Police has also barred highly placed individuals, including politicians, from going to the polling stations with their security details. All entry and exit points to the state will also be blocked, while movement of persons, both land and waterways, within the state will also be prohibited from midnight till after the election tomorrow. And the Registrar of the Advertising Practitioners Council, Mr. Olalekan Fadolapo, has announced plans for the launch of a platform that will enable media houses post details of their advert transactions. The initiative is part of plans to achieve zero debt by clients who advertise. Both the Registrar of APCON and the Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, explained that the media industry is going through a downturn following the impact of the coronavirus pandemic, and innovative platforms must be developed to mitigate its impact on the operations of the media industry.
Officials of the National Broadcasting Commission is meeting with a team from the Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria and representatives of broadcast organizations to discuss ways of ensuring zero debt in the broadcast industry. The meeting is coming months after the federal government's recent policy on the broadcast sector, and discussions here center around building innovative ways to ensure that debt in the industry is curtailed.
We all know that your operations have been bogged down, totally bogged down, frustrated by the fact that your advertisers don't pay. And so we try to find how we can ameliorate this and how we can use the instrumentality of regulation to see how it works.
As a major stakeholder in this MOU, we need to make them witness the MOU signing session, so that we can now go back to them. The platform owner will now make a pitch to them. We're still going to come up with a working document that all of us will sign to. So this is basically a framework for APCON and NBC to take up this responsibility, because we realize that we have different law establishing us.
Representatives of broadcast organizations take their time to study a memorandum of understanding between APCON and MBC.
We have just had the opportunity to glance through the MOU, and we are just witnesses here. I am happy that the APCON registrar just informed us that there will be a larger forum where we will sit and discuss the framework. And I think that is when we will raise our concerns, if any, and then we ask questions where necessary, and so that we can be clear.
The observation of members of the broadcast organization is noted, and the memorandum of understanding is then signed.
16/4/2021. Thank you very much.
It is expected that this gesture will address issues of non-payment of adverts by clients in the nation's broadcast industry.
When the news at 10 returns, we hear from the Speaker of the House of Representatives on the entertainment industry. This is following the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on that industry. Plus, the federal government kicks off commercial freight and haulage services. This is on the Itakpe-Warri rail line, 7 months after inauguration of the project. That's from Business News. To join us again. Welcome back. I'll now leave you in the hands of Linda Akigwe, who has more stories from Abuja studios. Linda.
Hello, Millicent. Welcome to Abuja. The state of the Nigerian economy remains a source of worry for the Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki. According to him, the excessive dependence on crude oil as the mainstay of the economy would have dire consequences for the nation in the near future. Governor Obaseki maintains that Nigeria has been depending on crude oil as a leading income generator since the end of the civil war, even at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic has forced some of the major countries, including the US and Japan, to look away from fossil fuel and seek alternate sources for energy generation. He was speaking during a workshop to develop a Benin City master plan, regional plan, and a 30-year master plan for Edo State at the John Odige Oyegu Staff Training Center in Benin City, the Edo State capital.
We've run a federation relying almost exclusively on crude oil, fossil fuel. With the advent of COVID last year, there was a wake-up call, a shock to the world, which you know all the crisis, but politically triggered off a change in the government in America. And since President Biden came into power, the Americans, US government, have pumped so much money in such a short time trying to look for alternatives. And where we are in the world today, from what I see and I know, is that we will be fortunate because nobody is investing in fossil fuel, in crude oil. Nobody. They're looking at alternatives. The Japanese are now getting energy from water. They're extracting hydrogen from oxygen to generate energy. This is where we are in the world today. So for a country that is still hoping on crude oil, it's only a question of time. And pretending and doing all sorts of, interesting financial gymnastics to keep it going. It's only a question of time. And it's not a long time.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, is promising that the 9th House of Representatives stands ready to develop practical proposals to advance the course of the entertainment industry and ensure that the industry continues to contribute to the socio-economic advancement of Nigeria. He stated this at the opening of a 2-day leadership masterclass training for Nollywood actors in Abuja, organized by the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Ndudi Elumelu. The speaker is concerned that the COVID-19 pandemic greatly affected the entertainment industry.
Because of the COVID-19 pandemic and the global reduction in economic output, every sector of Nigeria's economy has experienced a precipitous contraction. The entertainment industry, reliant as it is on shared experiences of cinemas, concerts, award events, and others such, has been particularly hard hit. One of the other reasons this event is especially timely is that it provides an opportunity to answer the question of how to rebuild the industry after what has become a difficult year. I assure you that the 9th House of Representatives stands ready to develop and advance practical proposals to advance the cause of the entertainment industry and ensure that the industry continues to contribute to the socio-economic advancement of Nigeria. Rest assured that you have in us a sure ally and a legion of faithful fans.
The Alhaji Sani Naji Foundation has empowered 1,200 farmers in Isuzo local government area of Enugu State to begin commercial farming of maize and cotton in the state. At the flag-off of the program, each farmer was given enough maize and cotton seedlings, fertilizer and cash to cultivate a minimum of 1 hectare of land. According to the chief executive of the foundation, Alhaji Sani Naji, the vision is to empower youth and women to create jobs for the teeming youth population across the 17 local government areas of Enugu State.
It's the first agricultural empowerment of the Alhaji Sani Naji Foundation, and its use or local government is where they're starting from. The foundation has set aside motorcycles, bags of fertilizer, maize and cotton seedlings to be distributed to 1,200 subsistence farmers who will be upgrading to commercial farming. While the farmers are seated, the board members and the Enugu State Commissioner for Agriculture, who is on ground to witness the empowerment, inspects the items for distribution. The commissioner is impressed with what the foundation is doing, and he pledges his commitment to help the farmers achieve their goals.
I want to sound it very clear to the farmers. The ball is in your court. Every necessary agronomic practices you need to produce cotton and maize will be given to you.
It's time for the distribution of the farming inputs, and each of the 1,200 farmers were given maize and cotton seedlings, fertilizers and money to farm a minimum of 1 hectare of land, a gesture they are grateful for.
Alhaji Sani Friday Foundation helping me out, and not just helping me in agriculture, but of course introducing me to another sphere, a specialty that was hitherto unknown to me. Now I'm going into maize farm. After maize farm, during the midst of the rainy season, I will still go into cotton. So I'm elated, I'm happy.
The foundation has also created ready markets to buy off the products and ensure immediate income for the farmers.
They are giving 70%, 75%, while the farmer will produce 25%. And afterwards, the foundation will go in to buy it at the prevailing market price, no matter the quantity you produce.
For the leader of the foundation, the organization is ready to replicate their gesture in the other 16 local governments of the state and ensure jobs for the teeming population.
We have a lot of unemployed youths. This is the only opportunity where they can come in, key into this program, and then have another source of life. The maize we are giving today is going to give us 5 tons per hectare. If we will start with 1,200 people this season, I believe next season we will be getting more than 10,000 people.
The foundation also appointed supervisors who were given motorbikes to monitor the farmers and provide needed support.
And that's all from Abuja. Now to Kayode for business news.
It's so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Well, thank you, Linda, and you're welcome to Business News. Barely 7 months after President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurated the Takwe to Warri Railway line, the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, today flagged off the commercial freight and haulage services moving materials for the AKK gas pipeline project. According to the minister, patronage for the rail line has gone up by over 200% due to higher demand by travelers between Abuja, Kogi, Edo and Delta states. He explained that the rail service has 12 stations and the government has plans to extend the rail line to the FCT. The minister adds that the rehabilitation of the rail line after being abandoned for over 30 years will create more jobs and promote the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Well, the first quarter of 2022 has been set for the beginning of operations of the Bua Sugar Refinery in Kwara State. The management of Bua says that the initial production capacity of the facility has been expanded to 20,000 hectares to boost local production. About 5,000 individuals are expected to be employed via direct labor, creating opportunities for over 10,000 other individuals.
Bua Group has set first quarter of 2022 for the completion of its sugar refinery that is presently under construction in Lafiaji, Kwara State. The Senior General Manager, Lafiaji Sugar Company, a subsidiary of the Bua Group, Abdul Rashid Olaiwala, who took a tour of the sugar plantation and refinery site, believes that it will enhance sugar production in the country. The construction of the sugar industry started 7 years ago in Lafiaji in Kwara State, with the sole aim of reducing sugar importation.
At Bua, we are very, very committed to ensuring that Nigeria and Nigerians can get the benefits of the National Sugar Master Plan. It is not enough for us to refine sugar. We have a refining capacity currently of 1.5 million metric tons. With this, when completed, it will increase that to 1.7 million metric tons. The plan is to ensure that for as much as possible, we should be able to provide Nigerians with cheaper alternatives to imported sugar.
When completed, the factory and plantation will have about 5,000 direct staff and indirectly create over 10,000 additional jobs. The general manager describes the project as the fastest growing backward integration program in Nigeria's sugar sector.
It's the first kind in the whole of the country. No other sugar plantation have this kind of facility because it has 4 factories in one. An integrated factory, a mill, a refinery, an ethanol plant, and a power plant. And on completion, will ensure that the sugar importation by Nigerians will reduce drastically. And that is the aim that is driving force why Bua Group is investing so much in this facility.
Civil work now is at 90% completed. As you can see behind me here is just completion and backfilling. After that, at the same time, we have started installation of the factory, the sugar factory and the refinery at the same time. So that one is on the way going.
From an initial 5,000 hectares, Bua has increased the plantation to 20,000 hectares to boost production. Bua Group says it's poised to boost the economy of the country by saving foreign currency for importation to the barest minimum.
Meanwhile, the bull's presence at the local equities market today is not enough to strengthen the week, as the all-share index dips 0.15% to close the week negative. Here's Ladi Williams with more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Final trading day of the week. Thank God it's Friday, and thank God the bull shows up. The all-share index is up 0.61% today, with 262.5 million units valued at 2.43 billion naira traded in 3,528 deals. The trio of Fidelity Bank, FBNH, GT Bank led the top trades, but in spite of the impressive volume with the lenders, the banking sector was down 0.52%, while insurance and industrial goods gained 0.94% and 1.19% respectively. Chams led the top gainers for the day, adding 10% to its share price to close at 22 kobo. For the top losers, Japan Gold led the pack, also losing 10% to close at 63 kobo. So this week, we had 3 negative sessions and 2 positive sessions. Hopefully, next week, we'll have more positive sessions. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Ladi Williams. It's back to you.
Well, thank you, Ladi. It's also a green day in all the major markets we track, closing the week's trading positive on the back of strong earnings from blue-chip companies in the U.S. Here are some of the closing figures. And that's business news for tonight. It's back to Millicent on the news at 10.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Kaide. In part two, after the break, U.S. President intensifies pressure on Congress to address gun violence as 8 persons are shot dead in the city of Indianapolis, plus other international news from our London studio. Stay with us. U.S. President Joe Biden says the deadly rampage at a FedEx facility in Indianapolis is the latest in a string of tragedies, calling on Congress to address the epidemic of gun violence by enacting gun safety measures. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. 8 people have been killed and many injured in a shooting in the US city of Indianapolis. That's according to the local police. Witnesses heard several gunshots at a FedEx facility, and one said he had seen a man firing an automatic weapon. The gunman, thought to have been acting alone, is reported to have killed himself. Authorities said there was no further threat to public safety. Police say several of the injured are in hospital.
Stop right fucking now!
Meanwhile, Chicago police have released graphic footage of an officer shooting dead a 13-year-old boy. Body cam video shows the policeman shouting "drop it" before shooting Adam Toledo once in the chest. The boy does not appear to be holding a weapon in the split second he was shot, but police video shows a handgun near the spot where he falls. Small protests were held around Chicago hours after the city's mayor appealed for calm. The video's release follows the fatal police shooting on April the 11th of Daunte Wright by an officer in Minneapolis. Hong Kong pro-democracy media tycoon Jimmy Lai has been sentenced to 12 months in prison after being found guilty of unauthorized assembly.
No matter whether we are in jail or outside, we work together.
Mr. Lai was one of several activists in court on Friday who were earlier found guilty of charges relating to large pro-democracy demonstrations in 2019. The 73-year-old founder of Apple Daily newspaper is a fierce critic of Beijing. The verdict comes as the mainland is increasingly cracking down on Hong Kong's rights and freedoms. China's economy grew a record 18.3% in the first quarter of 2021 compared to the same quarter last year. It's the biggest jump in gross domestic product since China started keeping quarterly records in 1992. However, Friday's figures are below expectations, as experts predicted a 19% growth. In the first quarter of 2020, China's economy shrank 6.8% due to nationwide lockdowns at the peak of its COVID-19 outbreak. It's been announced that the EU is unlikely to renew COVID-19 vaccine contracts next year with companies such as AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson.
Qui fonctionnent très bien et qui ont une faible.
A French junior industry minister said the vaccines were working well and had few side effects, and new vaccines such as Novavax and Sanofi are expected to expand the pool.
Second quarter, what is committed?
The European Union has said it hopes to have its own digital green pass ready in time for the summer. The Archbishop of Canterbury has said the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral will be a profound chance for the Queen to say farewell to her husband of 73 years. Prince Philip's funeral will take place at St George's Chapel in Windsor Castle on Saturday. The Duke's children will walk alongside his hearse during the procession.
She's the Queen. She will behave with the extraordinary dignity and extraordinary courage that she always does.
Mali's transitional government has said the legislative and presidential elections will be held on February the 27th next year. The country is expected to return to democracy after last year's military coup that ousted President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. The international community has repeatedly been calling for a return to democracy after the coup. The military junta behind the coup were dissolved in January 2021, but senior military personnel still hold several key posts in a 25-member transitional government. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has ordered all teachers to have a COVID-19 vaccine, irrespective of their age. The country has been vaccinating school managers and those aged above 50, elderly citizens and frontline workers. More than 500,000 people have had the AstraZeneca jab out of the more than 1 million doses delivered to the country. Mr. Kenyatta said all teachers and non-teaching staff in schools should have the jab before schools reopen on May the 10th. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. The Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development has confirmed that home-based athletes are expected to camp in Lagos and Port Harcourt in preparation for the Tokyo Olympics. Following the successful conclusion of the 20th National Sports Festival on Wednesday, the ministry says all attention will now shift to the global sports competition scheduled from July the 23rd to August the 8th. Andrei Rublev has held his nerve to complete a stunning 6-2, 4-6, 6-2 upset over 11-time champion Rafa Nadal to reach the semi-finals of the Monte Carlo Masters for the first time. Rublev needed 2 hours and 33 minutes to close out the victory against the Spanish superstar and seal a spot in his second consecutive ATP Masters 1000 semi-final. And Daniel Evans has backed up his win over world number 1 Novak Djokovic with a hard-fought victory over David Goffin for a place in the Monte Carlo Masters semi-finals. The world number 33, who had to come into the Monte Carlo tournament on a 10-match losing streak on clay courts, overcame Monaco resident Goffin 5-7, 6-3, 6-4 in 2 hours and 42 minutes. And that sports news is back to you, Melissa.
Thank you, Tunde. And the main news again. Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State today said 18 residents of Damasak town were killed and 21 others injured in a recent attack on the town by Boko Haram insurgents. The governor revealed this after he spent Thursday night with residents of the community and soldiers involved in the onslaught against the insurgents. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Morgan. Have a good night. Stay safe.